Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Hit the Tone. What's up, guys? I hope you're doing fantastic today, and welcome to this new episode of Hit the Tone on Thommann's Guitars and Basses. If it's your first time here, welcome. What I do is take bits of famous songs, licks, riffs, and try to give you all the tools you need to hit the tone. It is a recommendation-based format, so whatever song you'd like to see here, put it in the comment section and I'll get to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, if you can consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, that would be phenomenal. Thank you so very much in advance. And with this out of the way, let's start with today's song, which is Hold the Line by Toto. And we're going to start this year by going back to some of the most legendary guitar players in the universe, starting with Mr. Steve Lukather. Not only did he do an immense job within Toto, but he's also such a prolific session guitar player and he's worked with so many artists. The list is just incredible. Starting today with the song Hold the Line, which was the first single off of their first record, which was so instrumental in establishing the Steve Lukather sound. He went through different stages, of course, different types of gear, and you might be more familiar with him using a Music Man signature guitar, obviously into a Soldano amplifier. But at the time, as far as I could gather on the internet, this song was recorded with a 58 gold top Les Paul, very much similar to what I'm holding right here. It's obviously not an original 58. It's last year's Les Paul standard version of that same guitar and gold top, so that's pretty cool. I'll be in the bridge position, but let's not waste any more time on this and jump into our amp and pedal setup. And I'm saying that because it's going to take a lot of effort to sound anywhere like Steve Lukather, because his amp rig is just completely unavailable at this point. And as far as I could read, this song was recorded with a blackface Fender, probably a deluxe reverb of some sort that had been modified by Paul Rivera. If it's a kind of vintage piece of gear, the problem is usually the budget. This one is going to be twofold. It's the budget and the fact that basically none of these amps are available even on the second-hand market. That's just how good they are. So it's kind of hard to emulate that. We're going to start with the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. As usual, the controls will be on your screen, and that's a solid foundation for our sound because it's a great pedal platform. Now, to go into more details with the gain structure, we're going to be using one pedal mainly, which is the JHS double barrel, both sides on. We'll put the controls somewhere. There's a fair amount of gain. On the left side, we're on the higher gain setting. Honestly, I just had to go with what sounded closer to the song because I couldn't even tell you what the modification made by Paul Rivera was. So it's really hard to pinpoint. But I think this pedal brings you pretty close to that. As long as you have something that's very mid-rangey, kind of nasal, and just a very dry gain structure, I think that'll do just fine. So I'm using that. Beforehand, I'll put the Wampler Ego compressor, the mini version. I don't think it was anywhere on the signal changer in the recording, but it's very, very much compressed within the record himself. So that does bring us a little bit closer as well. And I will finish that signal path with the Strymon Flint on the 70s mode, which is a very studio-like plate kind of reverb, very, very short decay. Again, the sound is very dry, but it does add some tonal quality to the whole thing. Enough talking. Everything on with that guitar through that amp is going to sound like this. I think that's coming pretty close, at least within the room, and I'm sure the mics will pick at least some of it up. Very mid-range, focus, sort of dry. It's so weird to try and describe it. It's the origin to so many other guitar players' sound, and it's inspired so many people to go in that direction. I think it's close enough. I'm going to stick with that, and we're just going to jump onto the final part of that video, which as usual is the most important, and is how to play the song. All right, now for that part is honestly fairly simple. There's not a lot to this riff. It's just a very, very powerful riff and a really good guitar sound. It's not Steve's most complicated work for sure, but it's just so efficient. We're gonna start by mentioning the tuning on that guitar, which is just E standard, and your fretting hand is gonna look like this. So as I said, nothing crazy complicated here. These are just bar chords and then a single note on the way down to the verse. You do want to get that one thing right though, is the slide down from the F sharp into the rest of the riff, because it just adds so much of it. If you were to play just like that, it does sound weird. It sounds like there's something missing. So you do want to get that slide right and at the right speed as well. Don't rush into it. It needs to be like part of the whole thing. There's a lot of intention in that riff. It's really powerful. With that said, let's have a look at the picking side of it. The whole riff is fun in general. It's really fun to play, but because you're muting most of the strings anyways, and it's just a power chord shape, you can go just ham on your picking hand and just be like as powerful as you possibly can with it, and that's the most rock and roll thing ever. That's really cool when you learn that kind of a riff where you can just actually do the Pete Townsend thing, you know, like the windmill or whatever that's called. And yeah, nothing crazy here. Mind your tempo, obviously. It's working with a lot of different instruments on that part, but yeah, just a phenomenal riff. And with all of that said and done, I think that's it, guys. You have all the tools you need to hit the tone on Hold the Line by Toto. I hope you enjoyed that video. As usual, I hope maybe that you learned something today, and if so, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That helps me out a lot. Don't forget to let me know in the comment section which song you'd like to see here next, and I'll get to you as soon as I possibly can. And in the meantime, I wish you guys a fantastic week, and I'll see you next Monday in a new episode of Hit the Tone.